In this lesson, we will be reviewing the second part of Chapter 11, the Malankara Catholic Church, Major Archbishop, and Catholicos. After a brief introduction, we will review the following: the establishment of the Catholicate in the Malankara Catholic Church, the Malankara Catholic Church and the status of Catholicate, the Malankara Catholic Church as a major Archiepiscopal Church, the Major Archbishop and the status of Catholicos, and the mission of the Malankara Catholic Church. Here are some vocabulary and terms that will be useful for this chapter. Putankur is the group that left communion with the Catholic Church and joined the Antiochian Jacobite Church. Patriarch is a word of Greek origin meaning common father, and denotes the head of a family, clan, or tribe, as well as a bishop who has full authority over a regional apostolic church and the bishops of that church. Catholicos is the head of a regional apostolic church that was not part of the Roman Empire. Mephran is a Syriac word meaning one who begets, and the title given to the representative of the Jacobite Patriarch of Antioch. Mar Ivanis's request during the Reunion movement didn't come into full fruition until February 10, 2005, when the Malankara Catholic Church was raised from a system of metropolitan administration to a major Archiepiscopal Church by Pope John Paul II. As a major Archiepiscopal Church, the Malankara Catholic Church became autonomous and has a synodal form of administration with the head of the Church as a major Archbishop and Catholicos. This lesson will discuss the system of administration and the status of the major Archbishop and Catholicos in the Malankara Catholic Church. As stated in previous lessons, the Marthoma Christians of India were in communion with the Persian Church in the early period. The Chaldean Syrian liturgy of Persia was used by the Marthoma Christians, and the Chaldean Syrian bishop of Persia gave the necessary spiritual needs of the Church in India. Local administration was done by the archdeacon priest. In the 17th century, the Marthoma Christians were divided into two groups, the Parekur and Putankur. The Putankur community left Catholic communion and established communion with the Jacobite Church of Antioch. In the 1900s, the Kerala Jacobites split into two groups, the Methran Kakshi and Bava Kakshi. The Methran Kakshi, or Bishops' Group, accepted Bhattacharya Mar Divinasius Metropolitan and the Catholicos, and the Catholicate established by Patriarch Abded Misia of the Jacobite Church of Antioch, and later became known as the Malankara Orthodox Church. Under the leadership of Geevarghese Mar Ivanios Metropolitan, a group of Malankara Orthodox Church members became reunited with the Catholic Church on September 20, 1930, and regained the lost Catholic communion, and are now known as Malankara Catholics. The Malankara Catholic Church was given the status of metropolitan administration after the Reunion movement. Metropolitan administration churches do not have the right of autonomy in administration or a synodal system, and the leader, the metropolitan bishop, has no authority over the bishops of their church. On February 10, 2005, Pope John Paul II raised the Malankara Catholic Church from a metropolitan church to the status of major Archiepiscopal Church. The head of the church, Syro-Malankara, was given the title Major Archbishop and has the same rights and duties as that of a patriarch. According to the Code of Canons for the Oriental Churches, the status of Major Archiepiscopal Church and Major Archbishop are like a patriarch and patriarchal system. The regional apostolic churches are grouped into four authoritative categories: patriarchal, major archiepiscopal, metropolitan, and eparchy. The following regional apostolic church categories have similar status and administration. They are patriarchal and major archiepiscopal. There are currently 4 major Archiepiscopal churches in the Catholic Church, and their heads are called major archbishops. They are the Ukrainian Catholic Church, the Syro-Malabar Catholic Church, the Syro-Malankara Catholic Church, and the Romanian Catholic Church. Since the Malankara Catholic Church follows the liturgical traditions and patrimony of the Antiochian Church, we should understand that the Church has been raised, in accordance with the traditions of the Malankara Church, to the system of Catholicate, and the head of the Church to Catholica Bava. The heads of the Orthodox and Jacobite churches, which follow Antiochian tradition, are known as Catholica Bava or Catholicos, and this should be the same for the Malankara Catholic Church. According to the Code of Canons, the title of Major Archbishop is the head of the major Archiepiscopal Church, but the actual name of the title given can be based on laws and traditions of that regional church. Therefore, the head of the Malankara Catholic Church is to be called Major Archbishop Catholicos. The risen Christ told his disciples, "Go into all the world and proclaim the good news to the whole creation." Mark chapter 16, verse 15. The mission of the Church is to preach the history of the perfect revelation in Jesus throughout the world until the end. There are 3 phases for the mission of preaching the gospel, and all activities of the Church belong to these phases. To teach, through apostolic activity, religious instruction, and codification of theory. To celebrate, through the liturgy and sacraments of the Church. To live the gospel, by bearing witness to the gospel of Jesus. All the children of the Church should understand the obligations and work accordingly. The Malankara Catholic Church has the right of self-governance and has set out on a concerted apostolic activity to impart faith on children and adults. The Malankara Catholic Church is obliged to celebrate the liturgy in a meaningful way by imparting the experience through teaching and preparing the faithful to conduct a perfect, lively, conscious liturgy and leading the faithful to the true experience of God. The Malankara Catholic Church has a great obligation to side with the poor, uplift those who are disregarded in every respect, and to perform real service in the field of education and nursing the afflicted, and so on. O God, who in the fullness of time has formed the Malankara Catholic Church, bless the leaders of the Church that they may lead the faithful to the true faith of God, that the children of the Church may be made able to live and work, understanding their responsibilities, and through the Catholic Church may bear true witness to the world. As a life witness, discuss what could be done for the growth of the Malankara Catholic Church. Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those authorities that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists authority, resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. Romans chapter 13, verses 1 to 2. Please answer the following questions. Describe the institution of Catholicate of the Malankara Church. Why is it said that the head of the Malankara Catholic Church is the major Archbishop Catholicos? Describe the mission of the Malankara Catholic Church.